Hi everybody, Matt here from Matt Likes Comics. This is going to be a video of a character that is becoming sort of popular again, especially the run that I'm going to show today. And that character is called the Spectre. Now the Spectre has been around for a long time. He is the original version of the Spectre, because there have been several, because there are different versions in each era, it seems. Appeared in More Fun Comics 52, cover dated February 1940. Created by Jerry Siegel, yes, that Jerry Siegel, and Bernard Bailey. He is a divine entity representing vengeance on behalf of the Presence. Now, the Presence in DC is considered to be the equivalent to Yahweh/God, depending on the way you name it. He's never actually pictured, so they get away with that part of it. So, and over the years, he's always just shown as a voice. His original name was Aztar, who is a demon. He is one of the most formidable beings in the DC universe. The original is a cop, the original host. Now remember, it was later, of course, that it was determined that he was a demon. I think that's more modern. But the fact is, they put him as hosts, so that when each person passes on, the host that activates the Spectre. The original host is a cop by the name of James Jim Corrigan. He appears in all ages at DC, but in reality, recently he's been a cop named Crispus Atticus. I'm referring to Jim Corrigan has been in everywhere. However, there's been times where he's not the Spectre. He's like this, like in the case of Crispus Atticus. He is his boss, and but that's not what that that's not the era we're going to look at today. Originally from Earth 2, he is considered to have moved to Earth 1 with the story, beginning with the stories that I'm going to show today. He was an Earth 2 villain during the Golden Age and the Silver Age. But there's considered now that he has moved. There's only one Spectre, and he can go across dimensions. So there's not an Earth 1 and an Earth 2 Spectre, but he is considered to have moved to Earth 1 with Adventure Comics 431. Written by Fleischer, Michael Fleischer, and drawn by one of my favorites, Jim Aparo. This run goes on for 10 issues. They were considered to be very controversial for stories that were gruesome and excessive, although bloodless, violence. The series became a thing because the story is that editor Joe Orlando was mugged, and he felt that there needed to be a revenge. He was feeling nasty, so he said, let's make the Spectre again and do it this way. A character by the name of Eric Crawford, who is a reporter, was created in this series in order to assuage the feelings of the public that felt it was a little too much. And he expresses his contempt for the Spectre's style, so to speak, on a couple of occasions during the run. Although only 10 stories were used, there were 3 other stories written at this time and finished by Aparo, finished the art and all that stuff, but they were not printed. They ended up being released later in issue 4 of the Wrath of the Spectre miniseries from 1988. So the Wrath of the Spectre miniseries is all reprints of these stories, but issues 1, 2, and 3 have the original 10 stories that we're going to talk to today. Issue 4 has the 3 stories that were not printed. The Spectre is a slightly different character in each age of comics. We are, of course, going to look at the Bronze Age version, which made its debut in this book. Now, what I'm going to do, here it is, 431. What I am going to do is I'm going to give you very brief synopsises of what happens, but I want you to read these books. And from my understanding, everywhere I'm going, these books are going up in value. They're actually pretty good books to have right now. They're underappreciated keys, and they are going up. The demand for this series is going as horror, because this is a more of a horror. This is actually Bronze Age horror more than superhero. And so Bronze Age horror collectors are going for it as well, thus driving the demand up a little more. So this is from February 1974 and is called Wrath of the Spectre. An armored car robbing leads to 4 dead guards and 3 escaped convict crooks. Lieutenant Corrigan is put on the case. Spectre follows the first robber after a confrontation and forces the car off a cliff that the robber is driving. The second man has his arms melted off, which is the cover, by the way, when he uses a machine gun on the Spectre. The third one gets on a plane, but then the lights go out. When the lights return, there's a big surprise. So, after this description, as I said, I'm going to only do very brief ones so that you can go out, get the books, and discover what happens. Because honestly, I agree with the assessment that they're a little violent, but this is kind of horror. So, I mean, more so than superhero, and it's very vengeful. And if you remember, this is when the code was loosening a bit, so a little more could be done as opposed to what was allowed in the Silver Age and before. So these are interesting stories. This one is called Anguish of the Spectre. This is from April 74. This is issue 432. One night, oh my God, I can't read. 3 men, there we go. One night, 3 men plant a boat. Oh man, jeez. Okay, now I know. All right, let's start over. One night, 3 men plan to kill and steal the from the industrialist Adrian Sterling. There we go. Jim Corrigan investigates. Oh, pardon me. And gets. Oh my God! I'm gonna have to stop for just half a second here. Let me put my cheaters on. I can't believe I can't read this. Jim Corrigan investigates and discovers. Thank you. And discovers that Adrian had a partner named Maxwell Flood, who is now in total control of his company. Suspecting foul play, the Spectre learns that Flood had hired the killers. When Flood meets with the killers, the Spectre follows and kills them through various grotesque methods. There we go. And honestly, this is probably one of the best books. This book, by the way, introduces the character of the daughter. Oh my God, Gwen. Yes, Gwen Sterling, who becomes the love interest of Jim Corrigan. Gwen Sterling. That's it. So this is the first appearance of Gwen Sterling, who, by the way, does make later appearances in the modern age on occasion. Now, to reflect the part that this became a bit of a horror book, the title on the cover, they didn't change the title on the indicia, but the title on the cover becomes Weird Adventure Comics. And this is 433, and this is the Swami and the Spectre from June 1974. Swami Salal is a Khan who has had a lot of rich ladies give him money. When one of the husbands has his wife cut him off, well, the Swami arranges an accident for the husband. When Corrigan gets involved, he figures out that the Swami is a fake. Gwen, however, insists that the Swami is real and gives him thus when Gwen comes, the Swami decides to rob her and have Corrigan killed. The Swami summons Gwen to a what he calls a oh my god, seriously, to a one of those things where they have the people around seance, seance, seance in the middle of the night to perform a ritual. They try to blow up Corrigan in the meantime, but the Spectre saves Gwen and manages to kill the killer. The Spectre then takes his revenge out on the Swami. The key here to remember about this series is, and all series, is that the Spectre and Jim Corrigan are separate entities, because and the demon thing that they talk about later was the attempt to explain that. At first, like, when you get the Golden Age, it's like Jim Corrigan's ghost. But, things develop over the years. And by making him a separate personality, it made him easier to switch into other people like Hal Jordan and Crispus Attucks. All right. Adventure Tales 434. Adventure Comics, 434. The Nightmare, Dreamers, and the Spectre. A series of murders by mannequins draws the attention of the cops and of course, Corrigan and the Spectre. Further investigation leads Corrigan to Monarch mannequins whose shipments were involved. He discovers that some mannequins are actually handmade by a personage named Zeke Borosvich. When questioned, Zeke admits that they do come to life. Zeke kidnaps Gwen, makes a mannequin in her likeness, and has it attack Corrigan. Naturally, the Spectre sees through it, stops it, and takes care of Zeke. In a very gruesome way. I love these. Honestly, I love these 10 stories. These 10 stories and the 10 stories from the Spectre Silver Age, best stories ever, the Spectre. The modern ones are good, but these are the best. Issue 435, still Weird Adventure Comics. The Man Who Stalked the Spectre, October 1974. The Spectre's activities have been noticed by reporter Earl Crawford, who is intrigued by the number of criminals that have been disappearing lately. Corrigan is told he has to bring Crawford with him on the job against the Grandinetti brothers, who are, a mob family. When one of the brothers oh my god, I really can't read my own writing. When one of the brothers tarnishes himself in a Corrigan, then I can't read that. I cannot believe I can't read my own writing this badly. He leaves to become the Spectre. Crawford later finds a miniature version of the gangster. Crawford finds that the second criminal's hideout, he is oh my god, oh, I don't get it. I think I'm writing well, and then I don't. Crawford finds the second criminal's hideout, but he is But his warning to Grandinetti is useless. There we go. Thought it was wearing for a minute. As he attempts to kill Crawford, the Spectre takes care of him. Horrified, Crawford asks for an explanation of the Spectre. From the Spectre, who simply vanishes. So this is the first appearance of that Crawford the reporter that I was talking about. Now, 436 is, oh my God, like seriously, I should just leave my glasses on here. The Gas Man and the Spectre. Okay. A group of terrorists used poison gas to kill 60 people attacking a car show in New York City. Corrigan is put in charge of the investigation. Crawford is assigned to the story. The terrorists demand $1 billion. $1 billion! Or they will carry out their attack. Corrigan offers to deliver the money himself. He is being met by the terrorists. Corrigan is kidnapped. Crawford manages to investigate and find and follow the helicopter that has taken Corrigan back to the hideout. When the pilot attempts to kill Corrigan, the Spectre intervenes. He also manages to get the terrorist leader, which is actually on the cover, but I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens because I want you to read the books. 437. The Human Bombs and the Spectre. Ha! I thought it was books for a second. Gwen is kidnapped by a mad scientist. Notice the pattern here? Who has created a mind control machine. Using the machine, the scientist has people commit crimes and robberies, especially robberies, with the bombs strapped to them. The crimes become successful, and Corrigan is assigned to stop them. Eventually, Gwen is selected for a crime and is sent out and is found by Corrigan, who follows her back to the lair. Spectre releases the victims from the mind control. The scientist has locked himself up to try and save himself and tries to kill the Spectre, which of course does not work because the Spectre wins. I love this series. I know I've said that a few times now, but you'll love it too. 438, The Spectre Haunts the Museum of Fear. At this point, it's April 1975. This book came out bi-monthly. Just so that you know, wondering why there's spaces between the... at this time, Adventure was bi-monthly. Once Supergirl left the book, the sales started dipping a bit. So the Spectre was brought in to try and save the book. Because Adventure at the time was the longest running, the Adventure and Detective and the longest running series is at DC, even though Action had more issue numbers. So we've got 438. Haunts the Museum of Fear. A number of civil servants have been abducted by a mad scientist. Again with the mad scientist. Who is at the Museum of Natural History. The science is luring victims for his taxidermy hobby. The latest victim attempted to escape but was shot, and Corrigan finds that body, and that's how he gets involved this time. He is on a dead trail when he has got no information when he hears of a robbery of a taxidermy store. He intervenes and sees that they're stealing taxidermy supplies. Trailing them back to the museum, the Spectre infiltrates the lab and then takes care of everybody. Or as I like to call it, get stuffed. Issue 439. The Voice That Doomed the Spectre. June 75. A terrorist group named the Symbiosis of Liberation Army robs a bank and takes Gwen hostage. By the time Corrigan gets there, they have made their getaway. Corrigan becomes the Spectre immediately and traces the group's HQ and kills the terrorists. Becoming Corrigan again, he rescues Gwen. Later, Corrigan speaks to the Presence to be rid of the curse of the Spectre. The Presence listens and removes the powers. The next day, he has to deal with the Ducky Malloy. Ducky McLaren gang. It's a gang. Ducky McLaren is a mob boss. Unaware that he has lost his powers, he gets shot. He recovers and realizes that he can now marry Gwen. Meanwhile, Ducky McLaren decides to put a hit out on Corrigan. As you can see by that cover, it's no longer Weird Adventure Comics. And this is the final one from this run because the issue after this, they go to Aquaman. Issue 440, The Secret Death of the Spectre of August 1975. Corrigan is human again and has had a hit placed on him. Just before his wedding, Corrigan gets a tip on McLaren's gang and goes by himself. They gang up on Corrigan and they shoot and kill him. And they dump the body at Gwen's place. Corrigan is buried, but his spirit has been summoned to the Presence, who declares that his mission is not over. Corrigan is returned to Earth and his body is exhumed. He becomes the Spectre and kills the gang. Gwen is mourning the loss of Jim when his spirit appears to her, telling her that he will always be the Spectre. One of the reasons that I've discovered in my research of around this thing that they moved the Spectre to Earth 1 was because they were taking the Spectre in a different direction with the horror stuff. And they didn't want to associate and tarnish the name of the Spectre as he had appeared in the Justice Society. So this was their way of bringing a horror character back without, tainting the other stuff. I think the Spectre made a Brave and the Bold appearance not long before this. And that's one of the reasons also they had moved him to Earth 1, because I don't know if you know the history of the Brave and the Bold, but there's a lot of inconsistencies with Bob Haney. So a lot of people just say that the Brave and Bold is a separate planet compared to everything else. For example, you've got Bruce Wayne with Sergeant Rock, for example. And Sergeant Rock was Second World War. So you'd think that it's Earth 2, but they insist it's the Earth 1 Batman because of the uniform they give him. So there's a whole bunch of weird stuff in the Brave and the Bold in the early 70s. And because of that, they decided, let's make it. It's the same thing with Wildcat. Wildcat had never had an Earth 1 counterpart until he showed up in Brave and the Bold, and they said, well, he's the Earth 1 Wildcat. Because the Earth 2 Wildcat made an appearance in the Spectre series from Silver Age in one of the issues. I love Ted Grant too, by the way. R.I.P. He was recently killed in JSA number 5, the current run, which is too bad. But you must read that. So that ends my review of the Adventure Comics starring the Spectre. If you liked what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe below. I particularly want to know if you are a horror fan that decided to buy this series, because I'd like to know if what I'm reading online and what I'm actually seeing in person is true and not necessarily an anomaly. Because, some people just say, they make one observation and say, oh, this must be true. That's why I always try to double check my research. I always try to use 2 sources as much as possible for that reason. But as I said, please like, comment, and subscribe below. I hope you enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun for me. except for the part where, I was having problems reading my own writing. Thank you very much for joining me today. My name is Matt. I like comics, and I hope you do too. Bye, everyone.